I'm sure you're all familiar with the Chuck E. Cheese band. There's Chuck E. Cheese, Helen Henny, Mr. Munch, Jasper T. Jowls, and Pasquale. Whether you had a birthday party there as a kid, or found out about them during the Five Nights at Freddy's boom, it really doesn't matter. What you probably didn't know about, or rather, who you didn't know about, was Crusty the Cat. Now, Crusty was an extremely short-lived character from the very first Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Time Theater. He was a cat character who, for lack of a better word, just didn't click with the higher-ups. So they got rid of him and replaced him with Mr. Munch. That, for the most part, was that. And most people who had seen him during his brief run at the restaurant simply forgot about him, and assumed that he had been lost to time. His animatronic probably just tossed out and never thought of again. However, though, in 1985, a Mr. Brian Stackhouse, the young man working at that initial location, thought that he caught a glimpse of Krusty's portrait frame on the wall one night during his evening trash run. This was, of course, impossible, seeing as the portrait stage had been removed almost 10 years ago. Brian checked with his supervisor, who told him that he had witnessed the employees destroying the Crusty robot with a baseball bat behind the restaurant back in '77. Brian, convinced the sighting was just his imagination, went about his business as usual, until he got to the dumpsters outside. And sitting on top of the dumpster was the Crusty animatronic, slumped over and lifeless, as if it had just been removed that afternoon. Brian immediately went to fetch the supervisor, but Crusty was gone by the time they returned. After this, nobody had heard anything about Crusty until 1996. Emily Williams, a manager at an Arizona Chuck E. Cheese, claims to have heard a voice saying, "Hey, Big C, you said you was going to make me a star today," from inside the control room for the animatronic stage. And assuming that it was just part of the show, she ignored it. When she walked past again a few hours later, she heard this. No, Big C. An impression is when you do an imitation of a real famous person." And the thing is, it was 10 p.m. The main show had been off for quite a while. Thinking it was a TV having been left on, she looked inside and saw Crusty, positioned on the wall, looking like he had always been there. Now, this particular store had the 3-stage setup, and was a showbiz pizza originally, rather than a Pizza Time Theater. Emily had heard of Crusty, but had never actually seen him. She guessed he was just some prototype character that they were testing, and ultimately decided to ignore. Now, you may just be passing these off as people randomly seeing ghosts. However, there is actually a dark side to this. See, Brian Stackhouse was arrested a week after his sighting of Crusty for attempting to murder his manager with a bat, shouting, "Have a ball, Mr. Jenkins." And Emily Williams attempted to burn down her Chuck E. Cheese's a few days later, saying, "You better make him a star, Big C." Both Brian and Emily pleaded not guilty and tried to blame Crusty the Cat in court, obviously to no avail. This was passed off as a freak coincidence, but was passed off seeing as Crusty was nothing more than simply a defunct pizza mascot. And this brings us to 2017. When I decided to spend a few minutes at the local Goodwill after a shift at the local Chuck E. Cheese's, where I worked as a busboy. After spending a few minutes browsing old movies, something caught my eye. It was a large, black cat animatronic, wearing a Swingers jersey and holding a cardboard baseball bat. A small nameplate attached to the cat's base read, "Crusty." And when I walked over, I saw the animatronic's eyes following me as I approached. Just left, right, left. This was unsettling, but I figured someone had plugged the robot in to test it. I reached around the back for the figure, but realized that it didn't even have a plug. I went to find the manager to ask how much for the animatronic when I heard a voice come over the PA. "Hey, Crusty, what are you doing out there all alone?" I rolled around to see the Crusty bot, alert and seemingly watching me. Me? Big C, I was staring at our friend. I looked around to see if anyone else could see this, but nobody seemed to take any notice. I didn't know how nobody could notice, since after all, an animatronic cat coming to life wasn't something you could particularly ignore. At that moment, I heard a voice in my head, which I could instantly tell was Crusty. "And remember, always have a ball." Suddenly, the robot went limp and lifeless again. I ran to get an employee, but found the animatronic missing upon returning. It was here! I saw it! I stammered. "Kid, I think I would have noticed a 5-foot cat in here." Upon arriving home, I did some research and found the stories of Brian and Emily. I haven't gone insane, like they did, so maybe whatever Crusty does to a person didn't affect me. But I still must warn you that next time you happen to go to a Chuck E. Cheese's, beware. Crusty could already be nearby.